Hey guys, thanks for coming on Qorbin's Adventures. Today, me and my dad are gonna show you how to make a special type of tassels called Tzitzits. Come on in, Dad, with a pair of pants, please.
All right.
So
you want to learn how to make Tzitzits, huh?
yes.
Well, why?
They help us remember God's 10 Commandments.
That's awesome. Well, it looks like you have the Bible open, so let me read a little bit here. We're going to be in Numbers 15, starting in verse 32. While the Israelites were in the desert, a man was found gathering wood on the Sabbath day. And you know, today is actually a special Sabbath. Do you want to tell them what feast it is today?
Shavuot.
Yes, and so we thought this would be a great thing to do to show our worship to God, is to follow his commandments. So in verse 33 it continues, those who found him gathering wood brought him to Moses and Aaron and the whole assembly, and they kept him in custody because it was not clear what should be done to him.
I think I know.
Because
Because several times in the Bible when people do stuff like that, they say, take him out of the camp and stone him.
let's find out. And Yahweh said to Moses, the man must die. The whole assembly must stone him outside the camp. So the assembly took him outside and stoned him to death, as Yahweh had commanded Moses. Yahweh said to Moses, speak to the Israelites and say to them, throughout the generations to come, you are to make tassels on the corners of your garments with a cord of blue on each tassel. Now, are we in a generation to come? From the time this was done?
Yes.
Yep. Do you think our children will be in a generation to come after this? I think that's right. Verse 39. You will have these tassels to look at so that you will remember all the commandments of Yahweh, that you may obey them and not prostitute yourselves by going after the lusts of your own hearts and eyes. Then you will remember to obey all my commandments and will be consecrated to your God. I am Yahweh your God, who brought you out of Egypt to be your God. I am Yahweh. So the other spot that we're talking about the tassels
Is Deuteronomy
Yep.
22:12.
Let's start with verse 9, because this is a reminder of some of the different laws. And so it is simple, one verse, it's only verse 12, but we're going to read a little bit in context so you can see how it's kind of jumping through some things here. So Deuteronomy 22, we'll start in verse 9. Do not plant two kinds of seed in your vineyard. If you do, not only the crops you plant, but also the fruit of the vineyard will be defiled. Verse 10. Do not plow an ox and a donkey yoked together. Verse 11. Do not wear clothes of wool and linen that are woven together. And verse 12. Make tassels on the four corners of the cloak you wear. Today, we're going to put two tassels on here. Qorbin's going to put one on this side, and I'm going to put one on this side as we show you how to go through and do this. In Numbers, it doesn't say how many to put on. In Deuteronomy, it says 4. But the one thing that is important, whether we're looking through all this, is that there's two things. You're to wear them, and they're to have a cord of blue thread in them. Now there's a lot of people out there who's going to tell you that, well, you have to tie it in knots a specific way, or you have to follow this style or that style. This is one of those awesome places that God gave us a can't rule. And in this case, it says the only thing that you have to do is have a cord of blue. You can't have just all white. You can't have anything else, but you have to have one cord of blue. That's the one can rule. But he leaves it open from there. So today we're actually going to braid these because I find that it's a little bit stronger and that they look nice and clean and flat and they aren't sticking out. Some people say they have to be certain lengths. but the Bible doesn't give us any of that there. Let's go ahead. We now know what we need to do. We got some clothing, we got our materials.
And our supplies we have right now is a piece of blue string, gold string, green string, white string, and black string. Our other supplies are a measuring tape, some free check glue, and some scissors.
There's a couple of ways to do this. The first way we can do it, and you can see we have some good amount of white, some black, some green, some gold. The first way you can do it is you can take a thread. Corbin, why don't you go ahead and measure this thread here and see how long it is. And so this one is about how long, Corbin?
19.
About 19 inches long is this one. And it's important that you have them all about the same length, but they don't have to be precise. If you had one that's 18 and one that's 20 and one that's 19, it's okay. We're gonna trim them at the end to make sure that they look really nice. So our first way is to say take this nice blue cord. The color, the specific color of blue, we don't know what exactly they use. There's lots of guesses out there.
It doesn't really matter.
Exactly. It doesn't matter what color of blue, so long as you recognize it to be blue. So the first way is to run this out. Corbin, grab the scissors. And we're going to use one of these as our measuring thread, which we'll use this blue one. So go ahead and cut it right here. Good. And then what we're going to do is we're going to set that one off to the side. Let's go ahead and make a few more of these blue ones since we don't have so many of them. And again, I'm using that same one so that way every time I'm measuring against the same spot, right there by my fingers. So that's one way you can go through, let's do one more here, and get a good length of thread. And I came up with the 19-inch basically because I found that it was a good length for me and my clothes, and that's the only way we have that number. All right, so we got our 4 blue threads. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and twist this back up. Do be careful because occasionally they can end up a knotted mess like this and it takes a while to get undone. So we're just gonna leave that over there. And I'm just gonna simply put my fingers in here and we're just gonna twist this around. And as you keep twisting, if you hold it tight, keep it twisted, I don't know, do it a dozen or so times, it'll twist onto itself and it stays really nice. Now the second way to do it is to take one of these that you've undone, and this is our golden thread here, and you're gonna make that nice loop again. You'll also notice that it's about 19 inches, at least on these ones. So there's one really easy way to get this done and cut a whole bunch at once, and that is, Corbin, go ahead and come in from this way so you can pull up. Now pull tight and go ahead and cut, okay? We're gonna do the same thing on this side. Put it in there, open it wide. Now pull up and cut. Now we have a whole bunch of these cut and ready to go. You may have a couple of odd-sized ones. Go ahead and clip that one right there. And then what I'm gonna go ahead and do is put these others with it. And then to keep them nice and neat, I simply just pull through a little half knot here, like so. And I don't pull it tight, I just gently set it. Now we have a whole bunch of gold set up and ready to go. Next thing is we need a quart of blue in each one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect, so go ahead and give me a quart of blue. There we go, got a nice simple quart of blue. And then for my pants, traditionally, you would use white. This is a Jewish tradition, and it's a great tradition if you want to do it. But again, the Bible doesn't say that you have to do this. So we could do 3 quarts. We could do a blue, a gold, and a green together. But for my pants, I really like the black and the blue. It really kind of makes the blue pop, and it doesn't scream and shout that there's something there. So I will also match the threads to pants. So if I have a khaki pant, I'm probably gonna be using more of a gold or a khaki colored one. My camo pants, I'm gonna be using my green one. I don't have a white suit yet, but one day if I have a white suit, I'll probably wear white Tzitzits, but for most of them, I'm using the black. So for us, pull out, let's see, I'm gonna need one, you're gonna need one. So we need 4 black strands. grab 2 blue cords, or 2 black cords,
Yeah.
and 1 blue cord.
2 black cords and 1 blue cord.
Okay, line up the ends so that they're all even.
So here.
Yeah. And as he's doing that, if you look down here on these, you'll notice that I have a black one that's really long, a blue one that's a little bit longer, and this one. This is okay. At this time, if you want, you can take your scissors and just cut them.
Okay,
And now-
I got a super
Yep.
long.
So now they're all even. So that's simple. We are gonna cut them one more time at the end, so that's an optional step. The next part that we're gonna do is where we actually tie them onto the pants, the initial tying. This is best done by an adult, especially if you're having children help you or if you're tying your own. And then from there, it's really easy for the kids to help, but this first step is a little crucial. So let's go ahead and grab the jeans. And again, like Qorbin talked about earlier, you know, one of the spots in Deuteronomy says 4. The other says tie it on the corners. Our garments are very different, and we're doing our best to follow God's commands. So we're gonna go ahead and tie 2 on the corners here, because if I had these hanging up here, they'd be lying in the crotch, and you don't want that. And on the back of this, I don't wanna have a little tail. So the sides seem to fit it the best, and we're gonna go with that. Some people will actually tie these onto a clasp and then just clip them onto their pants. But I found that I always forgot to clip them onto my pants until I was at home or middle of the day or something like that. Or I'd, done something against God's laws and went, oh. And then I looked at my pants and went, yeah, I kind of forgot to do that today. So I like personally tying them directly onto the pants itself. If you don't have belt loops, you can sew a little thread in and tie it to the thread. That's another option. So we're gonna take this, it's gonna come right through here. And we're gonna pull these so that they are even. Does that look even, Qorbin? Great, I'm gonna hold tight here. I personally like to pull it together and pinch it at the little cross, and then I can let it go. So then we're gonna pull one side, just simply go through with a little half knot here. I'm gonna very carefully watching it, pull it down so that it is even. And I just pulled one wrong thread through, so we're gonna start over, pull it through, pull up to the top, pinch it somewhere close, take one set of threads, pull it through for the half knot, and then as we pull down, we just want to pull it to where it fits snug. This thread may stretch a little over time and as it gets washed, so we're gonna do that there. And then to secure it, we're gonna tie one more to make a nice little square knot. And this one, I'll yank down hard on. All right, so we just tied the square knot onto here, so you can see it here. And typically, I'll scoot it down because eventually gravity will pull it as it gets yanked on. Then I'm gonna do just a simple braid. So I have 3 strands on each side. So I'm gonna separate them out, and I'm gonna match them with the thread on the other side. Now you, depending on how clearly you want the blue to be weaved or to stand out, you can change it. You could put one blue and one black like so and match the other 2 blacks. But in my case, I like to match the blues with the blues and a black and a black. Now to get this going, which will take a little bit of learning time, is I'm gonna hold in my right hand the first black strand, and then with my lower 2 fingers, or 3 fingers, I'm gonna hold the other black, and I'm gonna pinch the blue one here in the middle. And I can use this finger to kind of come back and forth. And we're just gonna bring the top one always over. So we're gonna go over. Notice the blues now move to the right side. And I'm gonna push this one over here, like so. And bring this one back over. And we're gonna start pulling it tight. And as we get going with it, because there is 2 cords on each side, instead of being a round braid, it will actually end up being a flat braid. It'll lay flat, nice and clean against the pants. And as you can start to see here, you can see how that cord of blue is wrapping through and standing out. Now, one thing to think about as you're looking at these here is how far down do they come? Now, if you have them, what I've found, if they're under 2 inches, occasionally you'll get them where they stick out like this and it looks kind of funky off your pants. However, I don't need them down to my thighs or my knees. So I like to find, you know, that about 4 to 6 inches is a nice length. Some people I know prefer 8 to 10, but I don't want them getting in my way either. I know on my slacks, I typically bring them about halfway down the pant pocket, but those are laid out significantly different from jeans. It kind of seems like we're getting close here. Let's check the measurement on that, Qorbin. About
3 inches.
About 3 inches. So let's go just a little bit more to make sure it holds.
You need an inch more.
All right, so as you can see here, we're at almost 4.5 inches. That feels right for this length of pant. I don't want it to be too long. So now what we need to do is we need to separate them back out so that they are in their original 3 strands. So we're gonna separate the blues up. And again, I got these 2 threads here, so I'm gonna take one and I'm gonna match it up with this top blue thread, bring that down. I'm gonna separate the other 2 blacks I have here. And I'm gonna separate one up and one down. I'm gonna pull them so they're tight. This will now give us 3 separate cords. It kind of interlocks and creates a funky little knot right there. But what we're gonna do is we're just gonna do the half knot to create a square knot. And as soon as I get all of them across, I'm gonna pull. And again, I'm gonna pull on this as hard as I can. You'll feel a little bit of slippage in there for that first one, but get it nice and tight. And then from here, we're just gonna start going at it. Let's loop it halfway through, pull it. And typically I find between 3 and 6 of these really gets it in there good. I don't wanna create a big bulge here at the end, so I'm gonna stop right there. Now, the next thing that we have is that we have these long edges of the tassels, and I really don't like how these hang. Plus, if you look at them, you'll notice even though we started even, as we braided through, they got different lengths here. And so I would like to have them all nice. So I come down about 1 inch from the end, and I just simply cut them off to leave a nice little end here. Now, if you want to, you can use something like a fray check here and dab the little ends of that in there to stop it. But I've never had issues. My pants tend to wear out before the Tzitzits do. And on the rare occasion on my farm pants that these wear out, I can retie them back on, but typically it's because it broke somewhere up in this range, not down here. So you can see they're a little bit different here, but not by much. These pants are Torah compliant, as you might say. And really, does it have to be on the pants? No, it could be on a different garment. It could be on a separate piece of clothing. It could be on the scarf you're wearing or a shirt. It could even be on an undershirt. But one of the things that I always like to pay attention to is how and the purpose of it, and it is to be seen. They're there for you to be reminded and for all of your fellow Israelites to be reminded of as well. So, let's flip to Qorbin.
Thanks for coming on Qorbin's Adventures and learning about the Bible and being a man of God. Bye! Oh, and I hope you had fun making Tzitzits with us. I hope you get to make your own sometime.